There are only a few things in the world that stresses a UI UX designer more than in an interview the recruiter saying, let's do a whiteboarding challenge.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
You have got a marker in one hand or a digital interface of FigJam or Miro and 30 to 45 minutes to convert a vague design brief into a thoughtful design solution. Whiteboard challenges are not about the pixel perfect wireframes. They are a live test of how you think, collaborate, and communicate under pressure. So in this video, I'll walk you through how to approach the whiteboard challenges step by step, from clarifying the problem, asking smart questions, to organizing your ideas, sketching effectively, and presenting what you have created with confidence. So this is a crash course to whiteboard challenge mastery. But before we get into the 5-step process to ace the whiteboard challenge, let's first understand why whiteboard challenges matter. From an interviewer's perspective, it is basically an X-ray of your design brain. They're not just watching what you draw, they're observing how you approach problems. Do you ask clarifying questions? Do you think about the users and their context? Can you explain your assumptions that you're making in the process? Do you consider the technical constraints that might happen? Can you collaborate without getting defensive when an oddball gets thrown at you? And yes, there are bonus points if you can show that you can think beyond UI. Maybe you suggest potential implementation challenges. Remember, how you work during the challenge is how they imagine you will work in their team. So the goal here is not to wow them with 15 different ideas. It's to show how you can structure your thinking, make trade-offs, and tell a clear story from problem to solution. Now with that, let's talk about some of the common mistakes that UI UX designers often make during a whiteboard challenge. First thing is they jump directly to the solution. I get it. Whiteboards are right there. Your brain has tons of ideas coming. So you start sketching right away without understanding the problem. It's trying to cook without knowing the recipe. Second is unclear or unreadable writing. You don't need to be an artist or a calligraphy expert, but your sketches need to be clear enough that someone can understand it even if you are not in the room. The third thing that kills your chances in whiteboard challenge is silence. If you just put your head down and draw, you miss the chance to show your thought process and collaboration skill. The fourth mistake that I see designers often make in whiteboard challenge is trying to solve everything. Focus on one clear, detailed use case instead of spreading yourself too thin in dozens of them. And the fifth biggest mistake is getting defensive. When people ask you questions about your process and how you made that decision, they're not trying to attack on you. This is an invitation for you to explain your design process, explain and refine your thinking. Now, with that sorted, let's get into my 5-step approach that will help you ace the whiteboard challenges. The step 1 is all about asking questions to specify the challenge. Don't pick up the marker yet. First, make sure that you understand the challenge and the problem that you are trying to solve. Ask questions like, what is the main goal of this design? Who is the audience of it? What are the devices or platform we are working on? What are the time, budget, technical constraints that are there? This not only helps you scope the problem, it also buys you time for thinking. So let's take an example. Let's say the design brief that you have gotten is design an ordering interface for an airport restaurant. Now, you might ask questions like, is this a dining experience or is it a takeaway experience? Are users mostly domestic or international travelers? What devices will this run on? A tablet, a kiosk, or on users' mobile? Now, the answers to these questions will completely change the direction of your design and gives you clarity about, let's say, if the person has to do it on mobile, then there needs to be a way for them to access that, which could be through a URL or even better, a QR code. If it is on their own kiosk, more controlled experience, you can probably do much more there, and there is a bigger interface that you have. Now, with all these clarity, you can jump into the step 2, which is to understand the user and their context. Once you know the problem, focus on who you are designing for and what's happening around them. For airport example, business travelers, they will value the speed, they will value privacy, they will value efficiency. If their family is going there, they will need kids-friendly menu and extra time to be able to decide and pick. If this is for solo leisure travelers, more open to exploring and they want entertainment. Now, the goal here is not to design for all of them. You need to pick one to start with. This keeps your design focused and lets you tell a story from the perspective of this particular user later when you are explaining the designs to the people in the room. Now, with that, let's get into step step 3, which is outline the main story step. Before you get into sketching the wireframes, write down the flow of the scenario. Now let's do this for our business traveler example. These people arrive at the restaurant, they scan the QR code for the menu, they choose their preferred language, they browse the menu, order and pay by credit card, they check the order status, and then they leave. This story becomes the backbone. It's the storyboarding that we do in UX design. It keeps you from exploring the unnecessary features that this user will not need. With that, let's move to step 4, which is where we sketch some of the critical screens. Now, this is the time when you start drawing. Only sketch the critical moments from your story. Label everything very clearly. Use straight lines, full words, and keep spacing clean. For our example, you might draw a welcome screen where the language selection happens once the person has scanned the QR code, menu screens with clear categories, quick add-on options, order summary, simple review and payment options, order status, which is a progress bar with flight info widget, entertainment screen with lightweight games, news and boarding alerts. In this case, you do not need to design every single button or every single thing. You just need enough to communicate the concept, and in most cases, you are going to be there to explain the thinking because it's just 30 to 45 minutes. Just remember that. Now comes the step 5, which is where you need to summarize, you need to improve, and you need to talk about the alternatives. Finally, take a step back, summarize the journey you have designed, highlight why you made certain design trade-offs or why you chose one direction or the other. Then you can also talk about the possible improvements, that we could add a pre-order feature for tight connections or other use cases, like how would this change for a family, or constraints you want to validate, that would the airport Wi-Fi support this reliably. This shows that you think like a designer, not just the screens, but entire product ecosystem. Now that you have done the entire process, you need to explain this to the people. You need to narrate your thinking, even if your sketches aren't perfect. Walking people through your decisions keep them engaged and invested in the story that you're telling. If you're explaining the thing, people will have questions, they will share feedback. Now you need to stay calm here and take these questions as an opportunity to show adaptability. You are taking the feedback. A couple of things to remember while you are doing this entire process. You need to constantly be talking to people. So if you are doing something, you should just say, hey, I'm thinking out loud, here is what I'm doing. This keeps the person engaged. Or if you just go into silence and start sketching, they will not understand what's going on and they lose interest. This also talks about that you are jumping directly to a solution, whereas if you're just communicating with them throughout the process, they will be engaged. Just remember this, that this is a collaboration simulation. This is not a you activity, this is a we activity, and you're trying to show the teammate that you will be if they go ahead with you and hire you. And this is the reason a lot of designers fail at this. It's not the skills, it's just that they treat it like a design challenge, but it's not. It's a collaboration thing where you need to constantly talk to people, you need to share ideas, you need to validate, you need to ask questions, and at the end of it, walk them through the entire thing that you have done. This will help them understand your skills, know that you can collaborate, and access you better as a candidate. So this is the process that you can follow in UX whiteboarding challenge. So the next time that you hear, let's do a whiteboarding challenge, you'll know exactly what to do. You need to first slow down, ask clarifying questions, focus on the things that matter, which is one persona, one kind of problem, sketch it clearly, and then communicate the entire thing, summarize the entire thing to the people so that they understand the entire process that you have gone through. If you found this video helpful, like this video, share it with a designer friend, subscribe to the channel, and allow notifications so that you get to know when we release the next video. Let me know in the comments what's the most intimidating part, or what is the thing that you get confused in the UX design interview process, and we'll try to simplify it for you. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, keep learning, keep designing.